to alternately discuss, alternate Sundays, we discuss both the life as well as the teachings. For teachings, we discuss the gospel, and for the life, which reflects those teachings which Sri Ramakrishna expresses or tries to explain through the gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, can be understood better by seeing or by observing how he lived those teachings in his own life. Now we come to an incident. You all know, till now we have discussed how Sri Ramakrishna, when he was young, was reluctant to uh, take any sort of formal education, though his brother was very much worried. And the age difference was too much. I mean, he was very young when his brother was already working as a priest in the Kali temple, Bhavatarani temple of Dakshineshwar. So he thought, anyway, my brother, younger brother, that is Gadadhar, who would not be going to school, who was reluctant to have any kind of education. So he was thinking that if he comes and helps me here to, as you all know, his elder brother Ram Kumar used to uh, not only work as a priest in the temple, but also run a small school where he would train young Brahmin boys to become priests. Because priesthood was a very, uh, a well known profession, especially among the higher caste Brahmins in Bengal in those days. And they could earn a living by doing pujas, rituals in different houses. People who were rich to afford somebody else to do the puja in their uh, mansions and houses, they would earn quite a decent income. So, yeah, a lot of young boys used to attend the school, though it was not helping him to earn any income, not much income, but he thought if Gadadhar also comes, that is Sri Ramakrishna's childhood name, if he comes and learns something, maybe he can help me earn a little more money and his future also will be secured. So, but Sri Ramakrishna was not willing to accept any sort of employment. As we see here, Swami Shardananji is explaining why he was so much allergic, especially for a certain class of people who he was not against householders accepting employment. But some people in whom he saw spiritual signs, whom he wanted to mold to become future monastics, like the direct disciples, Swami Yogananda. In those days, they were all young. So he would very carefully see that they don't mix too much and with the worldly people, and also take up some employment which would bind them to this world. That was only a few selected people. We should not uh, it is not that he did not want anyone to take up a job. So, to clear that opinion, Master's opinion, that is Sri Ramakrishna's opinion about certain people whom he selected and saw to it that they don't fall into this bondage of the world. So, Swami Shardanji says many times we have heard that the Master openly expressed his opinion about accepting employment. He did not think highly of anyone who willingly accepted employment if they were not in dire need. You see, even among his direct disciples, Narendranath's father passed away, so he was practically, there was a lot of financial difficulties mother and his brothers had to face. So Sri Ramakrishna told him not to leave the home. He said, you continue till the situation is better, and then you can renounce the world. At least he said, at least till I am alive, you just continue. That's why you find Swami Vivekananda was the last to leave and embrace monastic life. I mean, though he was given in the charge of all the younger direct disciples, the younger generation. But there were two other disciples in whose case we can see this. This example is given by Swami Shardananji. So once he learned that one of his boy devotees, that is uh, Niranjanananda, that was whom he considered to be a great spiritual soul, an Ishwar Koti. So he heard that Niranjanananda had taken up a job, and his first reaction was that he became very sad and he used some very harsh words. You can imagine how much he detested taking any sort of employment. That is why he was not willing to do the work of a pujari, which he did not agree even later. His brother was insisting, but certain circumstances, uh, I mean, some certain incidents happened, and circumstances forced him to take the worship of Radhakanta temple, not the main temple. His brother was still worshipping Ma Kali's the main shrine. He was the main pujari, but some incident happened, and Sri Ramakrishna was forced. So how that happened? Because he was very much reluctant to do anything for money. So anyway, he was reluctantly there because his brother called him to Calcutta, and then he said, "At least help me in running the school." So he just obeyed and spent most of his time in meditation and praying and other things. He did not want to get involved. So when he heard, this is much later, this is after the young disciple started coming, much later when he became the pujari of Bhavatarani also, main temple. After that, one of the boy devotees, that is Niranjanananda, had taken up a job. So he used some harsh words. He said, "I would not have felt more pain hearing the news of his death," his means that disciple's death, "than I felt on hearing that he had accepted a job." That was his first reaction. But later on, when the devotees explained why he had to take the job, he calmed down a bit. He was shocked. He said, I expected him to be such a great spiritual soul, and he has taken up this job and got bound in the world." Later, when the master saw him again and heard that he had accepted the position only to care for his helpless elderly mother, he was pleased. Affectionately caressing his head and body, the master said, "There is no harm in that. No blemish will touch you because you are working for your mother. But if you are working for your own selfish sake rather than for your mother, I would not be able to touch you. So I say there is no anjan. Anjan means, Niranjan means no anjan. Niranjan. No anjan in my Niranjan. Why should he degrade himself?" So he withdrew the criticism and said, "Okay, now the circumstances are bad." Just like Naren lost his father, so he had to work for some time. He had to look for a job. He worked in some school also. He had to change two, three jobs to support his parents. Still, the situation was much better. And Sri Ramakrishna told him not to leave his home till he was alive. So after the passing away of Sri Ramakrishna, only all the boys gathered and then they took sannyas. So all the newcomers were surprised when they heard the master's words to Niranjan, one who had criticized him, saying that, "I would have rather heard the news of his death than to hear that he has taken up a job." So someone asked, "Sir, you are condemning work, but without it." So now Swami Shardananji, as a lawyer would do, is explaining both sides. So he said, naturally, when Swami Sri Ramakrishna spoke such harsh words, they were also shocked because they said, "Sir, why are you condemning work? But without it, how shall we maintain our families?" The master then replied, "Let him work who wants to. I am not forbidding everybody from taking up a job. I am saying this to these boys," pointing to Niranjan and other boy devotees. Swami Vivekananda was one of them. "Their case is different. The master was shaping the lives of these young devotees in a particular way. He made that remark only because he believed that full fledged spirituality and holding a job were incompatible to these young men, to this younger generation. Now, In the meantime, somehow we see Mathur Babu had developed a great respect for Sri Ramakrishna, seeing his wonderful character, purity, devotion to the Lord. Somehow he wanted to convince him. He said, if I get Sri Ramakrishna to worship in one of the temples, there were many temples, as you all know. The main temple was Bhavatarini's temple, but there was Radhakanta temple, and there were 12 Shiva temples as well. So they were in need of lot of priests. Then there were shifts. So each temple had to have at least two, or if not two, if not three, at least two priests. So, but Sri Ramakrishna knew that Mathur Babu was very fond of him and wanted him to take the job. So he was, and he heard from his elder brother that Mathur Babu was now and then he's asking me whether you can help me in the main temple, or at least in the Radhakanta temple, which is adjacent to the main temple. Although he was uncompromisingly truthful in his dealings with people, with more concern for righteousness than for others' feelings, he was reluctant to hurt people unnecessarily. However, it was natural for the master to appreciate the qualities of a noble person. Means he was, you see, though he was truthful, he was not harsh, or as Holy Mother used to say, it is good to speak truth, but don't speak truth that will hurt others. So she gave an example that if you saw a lame person, don't ask him, how did you become lame? It's, it may be truth, it may be a truthful question, but you should not speak any truth which will hurt others. So Sri Ramakrishna was like that. Instead of, because he knew if he spoke his mind, or if he spoke what he thought to Mathur Babu about taking up a job, why he was not taking up a job, his feelings would be hurt, because he was a man of the world, and he would not understand the reason why Sri Ramakrishna is not willing to accept a job. So he was very much concerned that, say, he is such a noble person, this Mathur Babu. So I don't want to unnecessarily say no to him. So best thing is to avoid him. So, but it was very natural for him to appreciate. Now Swami Shardanji is saying, wherever some good qualities were there, whether he was a householder or a devotee or a young boy who was inclined toward monasticism, he would praise everybody, whoever had any good quality, whatever be the vocation. Even Girish Chandra Ghosh, who had no good qualities to boast of, even he said, see the faith he has. He says, among all the devotees, Girish has 125% faith. That means he has not only 100%, he has such a wonderful faith. And he is very honest. He is not afraid to call a spade a spade. So he appreciated the better side of Girish Ghosh. He had so many evil qualities, but at the same time, Sri Ramakrishna used to look at the good qualities of a person and ignore. So the noble qualities of the person, of Mathur Babu and others. So he used to respect any person, any honorable person, not because praising that honorable person will be beneficial. Normally, people praise rich people so that they can get something out of it. So that kind of respect he did not have, without expectation of any reward. He appreciated goodness in anyone without any other expectation. He was not bothered, and if necessary, he would even tell that person on the face that this is what I don't like about you. So he knew that if Mathur was to ask him to accept the office of the temple priest, before he himself arrived at a conclusion, it's not that he was totally against doing puja of working as a priest of the one of these two temples. Not that, but he wanted a very clear indication from the Divine Mother that it will not harm his spiritual life. If anything that he did, if it did not harm or come in way of his spiritual life, he was okay with that. So He might not accept a salary for his job, but he would do it out of loving devotion. That is what he ultimately did. So he said he did not want to accept that, arrive at a conclusion that I will not take up a job at all or I'll not do this particular work. So there were alternatives. If he came to a conclusion somehow, he would accept it. But before that, before he came to his conclusion, nobody could force Sri Ramakrishna to do anything against his will. So he thought that uh, if I just say no, because right now I am not in a position to agree to his request, then it will hurt him. So he didn't want to hurt him, so he was avoiding. So that apprehension that he might hurt, he might ask, and he might have to say no right now because he had not made up his mind, he was avoiding. So, and moreover, at that time, if you see from the worldly point of view, he was an insignificant young man. And Rani Rasmani's, Mathur was Rani Rasmani's right hand man. He was such an important person. So, under such circumstances, it would it would have been it would have created a big commotion if he flatly refused. He was very much aware of the situation that he's such an important person, the son-in-law of the one who built this whole temple complex, such a charitable, wonderful lady, and Rani Rasmani's own son-in-law. So defying him would be considered rather rude. So, but as days went by, the master found life in Dakshineshwar temple garden growing ever more delightful. See, now he was really, though he did not take up the job, just living there, he was enjoying. So that means he found the place spiritually conducive. It's not that he stayed there because he had to. Nothing could force Sri Ramakrishna to do anything which would harm his spiritual life. He saw everything is suitable. He had now no objection, at least after staying and after attending all the pujas and prayers and all those things. He was really enjoying. And he had no objection to living in Dakshineshwar, provided he would not have to accept any heavy responsibility. He did not want, because he was not unlike Hriday, who was interested in a salary, was interested in making money and meeting important people who came there. So their outlook was totally different. But here, Sri Ramakrishna was quite opposite. Hriday was prepared to take the responsibility, as we shall see later. He even agreed to take the responsibility of taking care of the jewels of the Radhakanta temple if Sri Ramakrishna did puja. He said, "You do puja, I'll take care of the jewels." But Sri Ramakrishna did not want to take the responsibility. If I think of the costly jewels and protecting them, then my mind will not be devoted to my job. So if somebody agrees to take the responsibility of looking after these jewels, I can't do such silly jobs. I mean, I can't. For him, it was very trivial. So he said that will engage my mind, and I can't work or I can't do the puja with full freedom if so much rituals and so many things are associated. His puja was very simple. We will see that now. After he accepts the responsibility of the Radhakanta temple, so much of criticism because he used to do puja in his own way. He could not be bound or forced to do just because everyone does. So, such elaborate rituals, elaborate decoration, and all, he would not do. Sometimes he would hardly offer a flower. His puja was totally different, full of devotion, singing, and he was really thinking that the image there was alive. He did not do puja as any other ritualistic priest would do. So he would not willing to follow what others did, nor would he take the responsibility of the costly jewelry which people gave, thinking that they would earn a lot of religious merit. So naturally, if you see the temple, there's huge treasure there. A lot of people offer costly things. They think God loves that jewelry. And the more you offer, they think the more religious merit they would have. So Sri Ramakrishna was against that, and he did not want to take the responsibility, because wherever this costly jewelry was there, there was a chance that thieves would come, and then that responsibility you have to take. He didn't want to. Moreover, uh, we will see why he did not want to go back to Kamarpukur, his birthplace. That's another reason. One thing is he enjoyed the company of saints who used to visit, and also the wonderful presence of the Divine Mother, who was lovingly installed by Rani Rasmani, and he loved this place. This was the center of all his activity for more than 30 years. And though he was born in Kamarpukur, he had deep love for Kamarpukur. There were certain incidents which happened which he was not very anxious to go back to Kamarpukur. That will be explained now. Now, whatever Master had feared, he was avoiding till now. Whenever he heard Mathur Babu was coming, he thought maybe he'll convince him, and he could not say no to him, so he used to avoid. One day, Mathur came to visit the Kali temple and sent for the master. Master means he was very young, Gadadhar, seeing him at a distance. The master had been walking with Hriday and tried to move in another direction when he saw Mathur from afar. From far, he saw that Mathur Babu was approaching, so he feared that he would call him, and he was trying to run away. Then uh, Mathur's servant came running and told, Mathur Babu is calling you. Observing that the master was hesitant to go to Mathur, Hriday asked, Why? Why are you avoiding him? He replied, If I go, he will ask me to stay here and take a job. Hriday said, What is wrong with that? It is truly good to live in this holy place and work under a noble man. It's not like any other employee. Why are you so hesitant? In fact, Hriday would have been very happy if he got the job. But Mathur Babu thought Sri Ramakrishna was more competent. Then the master replied, You see, I have no desire to be tied down to one particular job for life. That very idea sends shudders down my spine. To be bound to one job for entire life, something I can't, that kind of bondage I don't want to be under. In particular, if I agree to perform worship here, I'll be put in charge of the goddess's ornaments. That worries me. It is not possible for me to accept that responsibility. However, if you were to take the responsibility for the ornaments, I would then have no objection to performing the worship. Then I can worship him, or her, or Radhakanta the way I want. Because Hriday had come to Dakshineshwar looking for work, he gladly agreed to the master's proposal. He knew he would not be given the pujari's job. He was more interested in salary, money, like any other priest. So he was keen to get that job, but he knew he would not be offered that job. But he readily agreed. He said, Yeah, okay, I'll try to convince him. At least I'll get part of the job. And he knew Sri Ramakrishna would not accept the salary. He would not do it for in return for a salary. He would do it out of, he would voluntarily do puja. So maybe he can get the salary. So master went to Mathur, who asked him to accept service in the temple. Mathur agreed to his conditions, that is, which he conveyed, that I'll not look after the jewelry. And on that day, he appointed the master to be, because his elder brother was still alive, he was the pujari. So he said, before you take up a full-time job, because Radhakanta temple, they already had one priest. So here he said, you start the job, help your elder brother to dress Mother Kali. That he agreed. Dressing means every day the clothes had to be changed. That is how the tradition is. So he was very happy to serve the Divine Mother that way. And he said he agreed to all the conditions. And he said he agreed to be the dresser of Kali. Dresser means it's elaborate ritual. Every day you have to put fresh clothes, decorate the mother. But he refused to take care of the jewelry because he was afraid that then his whole mind would be there. It will be stuck. He could not be free. After doing the job, he will still be worrying if some thief comes and takes away. So he was happy to assist his brother Ramkumar and also Hriday, who also got a job because he took the responsibility. He didn't mind taking the responsibility of looking after the jewels. So all the three were engaged. Just then, some strange incident happened. This was sometime in July or August 1855, whenever Janmashtami was there, within 3 months of the temple dedication. Because we all know temple dedication took place on Snan Yatra. So that is a few months before Janmashtami. The Janmashtami festival, the birthday of Krishna, had been just performed, and the next day was Nandotsava, the birthday festival of Krishna, arranged by his foster father Nanda. We all know that though he was born in the prison, his foster parents took care of him. Nanda Ghosh and his Yashoda, they were his foster parents. So they celebrate Nandotsava, means he is going to Gokul, and the birthday celebrations were to take place on the next day. Janmashtami, Krishna would be worshipped. That is the time when he was born, around midnight. And on the next day, normally, the tradition says you have to celebrate the appearance of Krishna in Gokul to the home of his foster parents, that is Nanda and Yashoda. So by noon that day, the special worship of Radha Govinda had been performed and the food offerings were finished. As was customary, the priest of that Radhakanta temple, as I said, there was another priest. The main Kali temple had three people. One was Sri Ramakrishna's elder brother, who was the first priest. Then it was Sri Ramakrishna who did part of the job without taking any responsibility and without taking any pay. He didn't want uh, the worship of Divine Mother or any seva of Divine Mother to be done with some remuneration. But I heard Sri Ramakrishna, though he did not accept salary after he became a full-fledged priest, he was paid 7 rupees, which he never took. He never wanted to go and, like people at the end of the month, go and sign. And he said, I can't do that. This is not a job. But somehow the management kept that money. And towards the end of his life, he was happy, not because of that the money was saved. He knew that Holy Mother would be a widow and she would not have any sort of financial support. So he was totally detached, he was so much concerned about Holy Mother. So he once, it seems, he asked her how many chapatis or how many rotis you eat. So he made his own calculation. And he said, okay, whatever money they have, I have earned, means he didn't take it as a salary, but they kept it in his account, which he refused to sign. He would never take his salary. So that was saved. He knew that that saving will be useful to Holy Mother. Then she said, he made some calculations in his own mind. He said, okay, so you eat three chapatis or two chapatis per day. So for two, he just made a simple calculation saying that for he had left, or there was enough money which could be inherited by Sharda Devi, so that she doesn't have to depend on anyone. In fact, he said that after I die, you go and live in Kamarpukur. That is her rightful house, because she was married to Sri Ramakrishna. Said, go and live there, but don't seek any kind of help from any relative. Just be independent. And he knew that he had whatever was saved since the day he took the job in 1855. From that day onwards, may not be 7 rupees every month. In those days, it was a big amount. So maybe he started with, initially, they might have deposited some money in his account, in his name, which he refused to accept or even withdraw. He never used that money. Whatever prasad he would get, he was happy with that. In fact, he never took it as a job, paid job. So with that money, unfortunately, such is the world is so selfish that his nephew Ramlal, seeing all the rich devotees going to Holy Mother in Kamarpukur and Jairambati, he thought, why does she need money? There are so many rich devotees. Nobody gave her anything because she would not a type of person who would ask. And even if somebody gave, she would spend it and feed all the people. So they did not, Ramlal did not know that she was herself suffering from so much of financial problems. So he, imagining that she was taking like any other householder, would definitely, when so many people respect her as the wife of uh, the guru, they would definitely offer her. But she was not willing to take anything for herself. Whatever was offered, seeing all those things, Ramlal was envious and he went to be on the good books of the staff of Dakshineshwar temple. He did something which is unimaginable, to be a nephew of Ramakrishna himself. He says she doesn't need money, so the money that was due, that was sent to for her expenses in Kamarpukur, he stopped. So you can imagine what kind of people, though they were relatives of. So he must have not had any, he might not have had any evil intention, but he said she doesn't need it without even trying to find out what was her financial situation. Something which was rightfully left for her by Sri Ramakrishna, even that pension or whatever, 7 rupees per month or whatever interest was there, which was spent, that also she did not spend on her own uh, for her own purpose. She used to always feed whoever came. So many people used to visit Kamarpukur when she was there. And then finally, when she ran out of funds, she didn't have money to buy a sari. She used to wear a torn sari. It is then her mother, who was still alive, Sharda Devi's mother, saw her pitiable condition. He said, "You can't stay like this," because Thakur had told her not to ask anyone. She did not even complain that her money that used to come, she was so detached. She was happy with whatever the Lord sent. Then the mother got anxious. Said, my Saru, she used to call her Saru, Sarada, said she cannot live like this any longer. So she, out of anger, she took the daughter away and took her to Jairambati. So all these things here you'll see, before Sri Krishna, he actually practiced. He didn't just preach. And he also ensured, and Holy Mother, of course, was the Holy Mother and Sri Krishna, two sides of the same coin. If he had so much vairagya, why will she go and fight for this small amount? She just refused to ask anything why it was stopped. They were so much detached. Whatever came, it was fine if it came. And Thakur had told her, you have some plot of land, you grow some vegetables there. She used to grow some greens. That was the only thing that would grow in that small plot of land they had in Kamarpukur. And without, she didn't even have money to buy salt because you need money. You can grow the greens and eat it, and the rice that used to come, there was some land, and whatever rice was there, that was enough perhaps for her, but there were so many guests. She had to fill them. Maybe some people brought some things for her, but she used to immediately cook and spend everything. So when the money was stopped, as I said, there was so much of difficulty. But anyway, Sri Ramakrishna never accepted the money, but that money, whatever little money was saved by the management, because Mathur Babu knew that he is full of vairagya, but he may need, because people think like that, without savings, how can you live? That is Hriday's idea also. Hriday was also not bothered because he was bothered about his own salary, his own family, and he was interested in making money himself. So he was not bothered what is happening to Ma Sharda, and later on also we'll find that none of this so-called relatives ever thought, not that they did not want to, they perhaps were under the impression when so many important people go to Holy Mother, maybe they are giving. They just assumed and stopped the management from even giving what was her due. Anyway, so here this 55, that means much before he passed away. In 86 he passed away. So this was much before, in 1855 in Janmashtami, on the Nandotsava day, after the food offerings were performed, as was customary, the priest, whose name was Kshetranath Chattopadhyay. Now you'll see how he lost his job, because Sri Ramakrishna was to get not job. Sri Ramakrishna would be serving this temple now. So Kshetranath was carrying the image of Radha to the adjacent room. So that is the tradition. In the Nanda Utsav, perhaps they bring out the images from the shrine, take it round and maybe play holy or something. But he was very careless priest. And while he was carrying the image of Govinda to his bed, Govinda, that's Krishna, the priest tripped and dropping the image broke one of its legs. So one leg broke. It's still there. That image is still there. Though they had a new image made later, which is now worshipped, but the old image is still kept. So this mishap created a huge commotion in the temple, and various pandits were called for opinions about what should be done now. The god, the main idol which was worshipped, has broken its leg. Then, because he had seen the master in divine ecstasy and had heard that he received divine commands, Mathur was in a Mathur was not knowing what to do, because he had to rely on these priests. Priests, whatever they said, they were so orthodox, then it was like a law. Common sense would not prevail. So, whatever they said, poor Mathur had to obey. So, he was keen to have, but he still felt that I should take Sri Ramakrishna's opinion, because he is more wiser than all these priests. And he knew that he had access to, he was always engaged in divine communion. So let us know what is the will of God. So if you receive some divine command from the Lord Himself, then you will be will follow that advice. So that was with that idea. I was keen to have Master's opinion, that is Sri Ramakrishna's opinion, even though other priests said, no, we can't. We have to replace that image, make a new image. We can't worship an image whose leg has been broken. But according to Sri Ramakrishna's advice, however, he said something very, though it is not mentioned here, the story goes, the incident goes like this. He asked a simple question when everybody said, how can you worship a broken? It should be replaced. So he said, no, give me that image, and very nicely image. If you see, even today, you can't see that crack unless you go very near. So he nicely replaced it or repaired it, the broken image. And then, and that instruction he got from the divine, as if he went into a high spiritual state. And then he said, he just gave a very simple answer. He says, if your son-in-law, that is, he asked Mathur Babu, if Mathur Babu's son-in-law broke his leg, fractured his leg, will you throw him away? You will repair it, you will cure him, and then definitely you will not reject him because he has broken his leg. So that's why he said he glued the broken part of the right foot back on the image, and then he repaired it so skillfully. He was very good at sculpture. So you cannot even today see that there is a repair. He did it so well. So after Krishna's image was damaged, some people remarked that worshipping a broken image, though they accepted, because Mathur Babu said whatever Sri Ramakrishna says we will follow. And they started also, but still the priests, that old orthodoxy, would not go. So they went on saying that this is not according to the Shastras. If you do this, there will be no result will be produced by this worship. So But still, because Sri Ramakrishna had said this is fine, the priest Kshetranath, poor fellow, he lost his job because of his clumsiness or carelessness. And as a result, what Sri Ramakrishna had not planned, what he did not want to do, he had to do. He had to accept the responsibility. They said, see, now you don't have to help your brother in the main temple. You rather continue the puja. Now you have repaired it. You do the puja. Others are not willing to do the puja of a broken image. And Sri Ramakrishna was very happy because he had the instructions of the divine that this is the solution. You don't throw away, reject a brother. You take care of him. So, with that feeling, he continued to assist Ram Kumar, and also the Hriday continued to do his job, that is, dress the Holy Mother and look after the ornaments and other things. And Sri Krishna was very happy because now he was independent. His worry was to take care of the jewelry. And then you will find slowly the things changed. He unwillingly, but this incident led because that Kshetranath was scolded because he was careless. He had to lose his job. But anyway, Sri Krishna took as loving service of Radhakanta. That is how he began. So Hriday, in fact, when because most of these incidents when they happened, Swami Shardanandji was not there. They came much later in 1880s, 1881, 1882 onwards, all the disciples started coming. But this thing happened in 1855. So naturally, they had to depend a lot on Hriday. He was there right from beginning in Dakshineshwar. So a lot of these incidents, though they were cross-verified, have come from Hriday's narration. So Hriday once told us another story regarding the broken image. Ratan Roy, a famous landlord of Naral, has a ghat near Baranagar Kuti Ghat, a few miles north of Calcutta. Near that ghat is a temple with 10 forms of the Divine Mother, Dashamaha Vidya, that is what they say, installed in it. In the past, there had always been fine arrangements for worship, but by the time of Master Sadhana in Dakshineshwar, this Dashamaha Vidya temple had become badly run down. One day after Mathur had become extremely devoted to the master, he and the master went to visit the temple. Seeing its poor condition, the master asked Mathur to donate 2 rupees and 164 pounds of rice as food offerings for the temple every month. And Mathur agreed to do this. From then on, the master often visited the 10 forms of the Divine Mother here. If you go now, even now, that temple is there. It is very near our Baranagar ashram, and it is near this ghat also, Baranagar Kuti Ghat, which the famous Baranagar Kuti Ghat, where all these direct disciples and even Holy Mother is to take bath. Ghat means it is on the bank of Ganga. So that temple, which is still there, maintained, it's a very silent and a quiet temple, where Sri Krishna told Mathur Babu, you see, the mother is suffering here. I mean, the service of seva of mother is suffering. So you just donate 2 rupees, which was a big amount, enough to run the temple, and 164 pounds of rice for prasad. Mostly the rice would be used by the priests, and the daily offerings would be made, because every day in most of the temples, rice offering was very important. Even just offering some sweets or some fruits would not be sufficient. So they say they still believe that mm, offering is not complete without rice. So 164 pounds of rice every month, not only as offering, but that would be taken as prasad by others. And Mathur agreed. And Sri Krishna from Dakshineshwar used to visit, though it is not very near, used to visit occasionally the 10 forms of Divine Mother here. So once, while returning to Dakshineshwar after a visit to the temple, The master saw the local landlord, Jayanarayan Bandopadhyay, who was the local landlord living there, standing on his ghat with some people. As they knew each other, the master walked over to greet him. Jayanarayan saluted him, Jayanarayan Bandopadhyay, and cordially introduced him to his companions. In the course of the conversation, he raised the topic of Rani Rasmani's Kali temple and asked, Sir, is the Lord Govinda in the Dakshineshwar? These news spread very fast. The accident which took place. Sri Ramakrishna repaired it and puja was already started. But you see, people have this fault finding does not go away. So they somehow wanted to criticize. Criticism is very natural to most people. So, of all other things, he could have discussed something positive, but he says, I heard that the Lord Govinda, because nobody could dare to fight against Mathur or tell Mathur that this is wrong. Because Sri Ramakrishna has had a divine vision where he says, no, I'll repair it and we can continue the puja. So, but still, people, orthodox people always want to criticize. So, he said, is it true, Jainarayan Bandyopadhyay, thinking that he was a wise man, trying to say what Mathur did, was it right? And he said, the Govinda in Dakshineshwar temple was as if something great calamity has happened. Sri Ramakrishna took it so lightly. Then Master gave a wonderful reply. He said, how shallow is your brain and intelligence? Can one who is an indivisible whole, akhanda, we say the God cannot be broken. He says, what kind of knowledge of God you have? You on one side you say he is akhanda satchidananda. Akhanda means one who cannot be broken. Khanda means to break. Akhanda means one which cannot be broken. So on one side you praise the Lord to be akhanda and then you reject a broken image. He said, what kind of intelligence you have? Can one who is an indivisible whole, that is akhanda, can he be broken? To avoid becoming entangled in idle chatter about the image, the master then immediately changed the topic. He thought it's useless to argue with these orthodox people. They'll just keep on criticizing without any basis. He told Jainarayan very clearly to accept what is essential and give up what is non-essential. He said, your wisdom, your say you are a Pandit Jainarayan Bandyopadhyay, and you are such a educated person, and you are talking like a foolish person. Why do you bother about the unessential, non-essential? If it has been broken, I will repair it, and it's don't bother about this broken image. Focus on the essential. The essential is that God is Satchidananda, He is Akhanda. He cannot be broken, He is supreme. He doesn't need your ornaments, which may be great for you, which may be very precious for you. But for Him, He, one who is the creator or the owner of the whole universe, the jewels and the gold and silver, which may be very valuable, doesn't matter. So the intelligent Jairaran took the master's advice immediately. He was wise enough to understand that what he says is correct and refrained from asking any more questions about the broken image. So now this incident is over. Now Sri Ramakrishna or Swami Shardanji is trying to explain. This is one of the things that he did. He did so many things while he was a young priest. How he showed now and then showed glimpses of knowledge, glimpses of true understanding of the essential of spiritual life. But at the same time, there was one talent which was very clear when he was there. That is his singing talent, the master's musical talent. That is the topic now. So we heard from Hriday that master's method of worship was something special to see. He did not worship as a ritualistic priest like other people because the jewels were taken care of by Hriday, other things, all the ritualistic thing, he was least bothered. He said, you do whatever you like, but his worship was separate. And Sardanji says, whoever saw His mode of worship was overwhelmed. How sweetly the master sang. How passionate was his heart when he approached the Divine Mother or Radhakanta. Whoever heard those songs even once could never forget them. And there was no pretense in his singing, no attempt to parade his skill, as do some classical musicians. They are more interested in the music than the meaning. But when he sang as if the meaning was more important to him than the real way of presentation. There may be very good singers who are trying desperate to show their talent, how well they can sing or how well they can play the instrument. So he said he did not parade his skill as do some classical musicians. He would fully absorb the theme, the meaning of the song that he was singing, and then express it with his impressive yet sweet voice using the correct musical tempo and cadence. That is, he did not, just because he gave more importance to the meaning of the song, that doesn't mean he was musically uh, bad. He was used to maintain the rhythm. In fact, if anybody broke the rhythm when they were playing, he would get irritated, because a person who has tuned himself with the cosmic order which is known as rhythm, or which is the definition of the immanent God. When you are one with that, any discordant note, any lack of synchronization, some tempo in the tala, because that is why they say it's so important. It's not just the raga, but to maintain the beats and the cadence and the tempo of the music was very important. So if anybody broke that tempo, Thakur used to get disturbed, because he was totally focused on the meaning and the rhythm, the universal music that he could appreciate. Only he could appreciate. So he says, when the master's singing was compared with that of others, it became clear that mood cannot express itself if the tempo and the cadence are not perfect. Whenever Rani Rasmani came to Dakshineshwar, she sent for the master to listen to him sing. This song was her favorite. There is a song. Where is your consideration, O mother? This is the bhavartha, the meaning of the original Bengali song. Where is your consideration, O mother, when you stand with your feet on Hara? Hara means Shiva. Shiva's bosom. Willfully, that means if you see the Bhavatarani's image, Ma Kali's image, it is Shiva is lying flat on the ground, and the mother is one leg on his chest and the bosom, and her feet is on the chest. And then willfully you have stuck out your tongue. You see, she has taken her tongue outside. It looks a bit horrible for people who do not know the symbology of that image, and they are shocked. How could a woman stand on the heart or the chest of a Hara? Hara means Shiva himself. So mother is standing on the. But here the poet who has composed this song, this was one of the favorite of Rani Rasmani. This song, in the song, you see, when you give a human touch to those deities, then you take those things and try to express your feelings through that human touch. He says, you are doing this, that poor Shiva is lying down as if it is living. You see that when these poets compose the song, for them it is not just an image. If it is just an image, you just don't bother what is there. Some people don't even get a chance to see what is there. That's why our Bharat Maharaj Swami Abhayananda once scolded the priest of Holy Mother's temple. There was a competition, who will decorate more. Then he said, I don't see mother, only her small face is seen. I can't see her feet, I can't see the photo. You have just covered with so many flowers. He was so angry with the priest. He said, you're just competing. Who is going to put more and more flowers, more and flowers? People can't see the main person. Holy Mother, you can't see. So that is how the devotees see. True devotees don't see the decoration, because decoration is meant for, it is something external which is hiding the real reality. if the main purpose of visiting the divine is to see the full image of mother or Thakur or the here, if there are too much of uh, decoration or too much of symbology, which the poets don't like, because they consider the mother and Shiva as their parents, as a living being. So that is why sometimes they express their anguish through, because they are so near. They consider the image to be real in flesh and blood. That's why I say, why are you trampling on Shiva like this? Willfully, you have stuck out your tongue as if you are a naive girl. I mean, you are such a goddess of wisdom, but you are behaving as if you are a very small girl making faces. I mean, it's just out of emotion. Oh, Mother Tara, I have known your play. Is this the way you play with all? Means he says, what you appear now, your appearance is not your reality. I have found it out. That means they know, they have seen through the symbology. They don't see. If you take it literally, it's horrible. I mean, for a person who just sees this symbolic representation, they will just laugh. They'll say, what kind of image you are worshipping? Shiva is lying down and she is standing on the chest. So he says, you can't cheat me anymore. You are making a show. I know your play. Is this the way you play with all? Did your mother stand on your father's bosom in this way? That means he's trying to. For him now, mother is not the image. He says, I don't believe that this is your real form. Let the whole world worship you in this form. But did you ever see your own father and mother, your mother standing on the chest of your father? So why are you playing? But at the same time, he says, I have known your play. And he says, is this the way you play with all? So what he's trying to imply is, when we take creation, if you see the Vishwarupa Darshana, Arjuna first shows, Arjuna is first shown the good aspect of the Lord. And he is very happy to see the wonderful Lord in such glory, and he is so happy and he is praising him. Then suddenly God shows the negative side, killing and eating, everything going into his mouth. So then the play becomes horrible. So to show that, he says, I have found that this is a play. Literally, you would not do this, but to show that good and evil coexist. You have to worship the terrible if you worship the good. Both come together. That is your play. So is this the way you play with all? You make some people happy, you make some people miserable. And that is why in Kali the mother, if you see, Swami Vivekananda wrote, if you see, that poem also is like that, and that was based on his vision. He sees the mother tearing down trees, such a big dark clouds have scattered everywhere. Everything is dark, horrible, and there's a lot of killing going on. So he literally had a vision, a horrific vision of the terrible state of reality. So she says, oh, Mother Tara, I have known your play. I have known that though you appear to be uh, terrible in this form with your tongue out and standing on Shiva, I know there is a better side. So that is why this poem, where Sharadananji also used to tell his disciples, when somebody asked, you were staying with Holy Mother for such a long time, what is your understanding of Holy Mother? So he began singing a song which is something similar to this. Tor ranga deke rangamai, avak hoichi, means I'm just really confused by seeing the colorful play which you are playing with everyone. On one side, you are generous, you are liberal. On the other side, you are killing. So much of pain, terror, misery. I don't know how you are playing this game. So that is how uh, these songs are designed. They have a deeper meaning. Apparently, they are not very though they are very direct, but they don't hesitate to tell the truth. So that is why he's criticizing the mother. He says, "Have you ever seen your mother standing upon the chest of your father?" So that is why this uh, song, our Rani Rasmani liked a lot. Whenever she came, she used to ask Thakur to sing this song. And there was another reason why the master's song sounded so sweet. As he sang, he would become so absorbed in the mood of the song that he would completely forget that he was singing to please anyone else. We have never seen in our lives, this is what Shardananji says, because he has himself seen, any other person who would fully forget himself while singing in ecstasy as the master did. Even great devotional singers expect some appreciation from the audience. But as for the master, we noticed that when someone praised his singing, he truly believed that the praise was due to the emotion of the song and not to himself, not because of his voice or the way he sang at all. So we will conclude now. With the next topic is the visions. This is one aspect of how he performed puja and what was the spirit behind his the worship that he did. Next, we'll come to the master's visions that he had. There are so many visions, how he saw Kundalini rising, or symbolically, he could see so many things happening. It was not just an image that he saw in front of him. So, and he has explained these visions so many times to different people. It is there in the gospel also. So, a collection of how he did puja and what are the visions he had when he did puja and what would happen, what was his personality like, how did he, what transformation one could see when he did puja. So, Anganyasa, Karanyasa, we do everything very fast and in a very beautiful way. People hardly appreciate what is going on. When he did Anganyasa, when he did Karanyasa, he could literally have some vision of what he was uttering. It was not just symbolic things that he did. Though it is important, we have to follow certain path and certain. It is the spirit with which he did, and for him, whenever he uttered any mantra, he could literally see that coming live. So how he did puja and how he did all the rituals, how he uttered the mantras, and what he saw, uh, and some of the rituals of our puja, which we see every day or maybe every special occasion. Here, his worship was of a different kind, and what visions he saw, Swami Shardananji is trying to explain, hoping that anybody who reads this biography will try to worship uh, his Ishta or his God or Sri Ramakrishna himself. When we worships, he will actually try to imagine that these were the things that Thakur saw or Thakur experienced when he was doing puja. So maybe we can't see the same things, but at least we it is good to remember. That is why he's trying to discuss very meticulously because he heard from the master himself. He says the master himself mentioned that when he did different stages of the puja, what would happen and what kind of visions he had. So it is a very authentic thing. He didn't. It does not depend on Hriday to tell him because many of these things, while Sri Ramakrishna explained, somebody asked something about puja, he would tell this is what the significance of this ritual is, and all these things which he observed or he the visions that he had, and he explained to the direct disciples, especially Shardananji. So most of the things which Shardananji heard, that's why he says when we asked him, he said this. So once he told us, that means Shardananji or some of the other direct disciples have heard this. So it is very based on very authentic statements made by the because they were not there when he did puja. When they came, the stage of puja was over. He did puja, in fact, for a very small period. After that, he uh, got over that stage and he stopped doing puja. So when the direct disciples came, he used to sit in his room always, and people used to go there. In fact, Master Mashe was asking before he entered, when he entered for the first time, he said, "Is this puja or Sandhya Vandana, is it over? Can we go now?" Thinking that he still followed the ritualistic way, that every evening you sit and do some kind of puja. So, because we hold on to the rituals throughout our life. But Sri Ramakrishna knew that once the need for doing rituals is over, then you catch hold of the spirit and then you focus on that. So he had already reached the stage where he was beyond ritualistic puja. So all the visions he had during his job as a priest, not job, his duty as a priest, which he did, what he experienced as compared to other pujaris, he is trying to. Swami Shardanji has made a list and we will discuss that in our next class. Om Sha. Any questions are there? We have 5 minutes. No. Anything? Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.